Activision Blizzard is screwing over actual people. Real women are having their lives ruined.
Look at my lips, you're ruining it.
By crappy managers who aren't even... I'm so mad right now. I'm so mad because I feel like in some way I tacitly... My money went to this. This stupid t-shirt that I bought is fucking part of this. And Microsoft is even going so far as to say Xbox has officially lost the console war. I'm glad that you love it. I do not understand the love for Starfield. To me, it looked like a 6 or 7 out of 10 game. I'm gonna make a video real quick saying the Xbox showcase was wet dog getting sucked out of a nun's asshole. I think Microsoft is gonna be fine. I think Microsoft is not going to use these games. They're not gonna abuse these games. This is fine. The Activision Blizzard deal is fine.
I don't like where this is going.
Well, would you look at that? The Microsoft Activision deal is more or less done, with a slight hurdle by the CMA wanting to extend this shit a little bit longer. Annoyingly, we have to wait maybe a couple of more months before this is actually resolved. Here's an article from gamesindustry.biz. Microsoft Activision reportedly discussing acquisition deadline extension, which is not what we all want to hear. We all just want this to be resolved and to see the final results. At the moment, the results are showing, with old Call of Duty servers being fixed on the old 360 titles, now playable online again. It looks like things are moving forward slowly, and a price reduction on all the games too. It looks like the servers are being heavily populated by the player base, which is a good thing. So let's read this article from gamesindustry.biz. Microsoft and Activision are reportedly in talks to extend today's deadline for the former proposal of the $69 billion acquisition.
69, dudes!
The deal is due to be completed by the end of today, Tuesday, July 18th. If not, Microsoft expects to pay $3 billion fee to Activision Blizzard and renegotiate the terms of price of the acquisition. Microsoft has secured approval for the deal in the European Union plus the approximately 30 other markets around the world and faces no regulatory obstacles that prevent it from completing the deal in the US. However, the platform holder is still working with the UK Competition and Markets Authority on modifications to the deal that may satisfy the regulator's concerns. The CMA said it will not be able to make a decision on the proposals by the deadline, but is aiming to do so before August 29th. Now Microsoft and Activision are talking about extending the current contract in order to allow more time for this final hurdle to be overcome, according to Reuters. There was a little more to that article, but it wasn't relevant to what I wanted to hear. All I wanted to hear was the deadline, which is August 29th, which is quite a long way away too. I'm going to let Destin elaborate a little bit further on this one before I continue.
A little bit longer, and the process is going to be a little bit more involved than they originally had hoped. Of course, they wanted to close tomorrow, but it does not seem like that's going to happen. The court, the CMA, Microsoft, and Activision Blizzard all want to solve the problem as efficiently as possible. I wish there were shortcuts, but it's not going to take long, 4 to 6 weeks. So I believe Microsoft is asking for now a further out deadline of around October versus August, but the judge is indicating that the deal is going to go through given the news from the FTC and Sony. The CMA lawyer is indicating it's going to go through. Microsoft and Activision lawyers are indicating that it's going to go through. And honestly, the whole time, the judge seemed like he was really looking for a way that he could just get it done as fast as possible.
Thank you, Destin. You should all go and subscribe to Destin. He's great on gaming news. But I really hope this does not get pushed to October. I really hope they just come to a conclusion sooner rather than later, and we can all just get it done and over with. Because this story is dragging on, and this is what most people's content is revolving around. And then the fanboys are just going to go mad constantly about the same thing over and over. But if it does drag on that long, what the hell are we all going to talk about? Alright, Starfield comes out by October if it drags out that long, which we all hope it doesn't. But I don't want to wait that long to see the fanboys cry about Starfield. But in the meantime, we have Dreamcast guys seemingly grifting. Also, it looks that way anyway. Let's go through his tweets first, shall we?
I truly think Microsoft is going to start making everything except COD on a console exclusive ASAP. Makes me very glad I own an Xbox right now.
I've been a PlayStation dick sucker since the PlayStation 1 day.
Now, I don't know about you, but it's not just me that looks at this a little bit suspect. Looks like his comment section also makes him look a little bit sus.
The mass flip-flop has started.
高端的食材往往只需要采用最朴素的烹饪方式。
Grifter's got a grift. Just like that, you've done the complete U-turn. I guess talking positive on Xbox gives you more interactions than you thought after consistently bashing them. Who would have thought?
Boy, that escalated quickly.
And not long after Dreamcast Guy tweeted this, the comment section roasted him for being a grifter straight off the bat. And only time will tell how long it takes for him to start talking positive things about Xbox and not PlayStation. Depends how everything in the future happens, but it would not surprise me if it happens at all. One of the funniest things that came to my mind is when Call of Duty is owned by Xbox, and that's all PlayStation were worried about. Then we're going to start seeing what the fanboys' reaction is going to be when they start seeing this on the splash screen. This will definitely make every PlayStation fanboy angry, seeing this at the start of every Call of Duty game going forward. But never mind about that. After Dreamcast Guy tweeted this, he proceeded to make a video where it looked like the grifting was getting even stronger.
What's up, gamers? Dreamcast Guy here, talking today about Xbox versus PlayStation, because today
Always feels a need to wave the PlayStation controller up in the air. Even though he said the word Xbox, the God of War Special Edition PlayStation controller still came up.
is a very dark time for Sony. They just got forced to sign a contract they absolutely did not want to sign.
We are pleased to announce that Microsoft and PlayStation have signed a binding agreement to keep Call of Duty on PlayStation following the acquisition of Activision Blizzard. We look forward to a future where players globally have more choice to play their favourite games.
See here, I don't think PlayStation were forced to sign an agreement. The agreement was already in place quite a while back to keep Call of Duty games on PlayStation for 10 years. But not just PlayStation, it'll be Nintendo as well. And Microsoft has released their games on PC anyway, so it doesn't make any difference there. So they weren't forced to make the decision, I don't think so, in any way, shape or form. It's just a game that they wanted for as long as possible on their platform, which is stupid because PlayStation should have wanted other Activision Blizzard games as well, not just Call of Duty. I don't think this game alone will make or break them.
But let's talk about that. Okay, so this is going to be a very big, complicated video. Be sure to watch all of it because things are about to get very, very spicy. Over the course of the last 18 months, obviously, Microsoft has been in court trying to buy Activision Blizzard. They're spending $70 billion to have access to World of Warcraft and Diablo and Overwatch and freaking Call of Duty, of course, itself. Tony Hawk's Pro Skater, Crash Bandicoot, Spyro.
Yes, and imagine having all them games on Game Pass. It'll be freaking amazing. Where you can have access to all them games just for a subscription fee, or you have the choice to buy them if you want as well. On the Xbox platform will be actually really good. Not having to pay full price for these games is not a bad thing at all. But if they manage to pop games like World of Warcraft on a console, that will be amazing because that will bring the Xbox player count up quite significantly, I can imagine anyway. Especially if they scrapped the World of Warcraft subscription fee and you only have to pay for Game Pass. That's a massive W if it boils down that way.
The size of Activision Blizzard cannot be overstated. I mean, the size of Microsoft now, like Xbox Game Studios, just literally tripled in size. Now, of course, Sony is scared of this. Sony very much relies on those sales. PlayStation is way in first when it comes to console sales. Their system is on fire. I mean, I'm a huge fan of PlayStation. I love PlayStation exclusives.
You don't say. You don't say.
Well, I don't think it's a secret at this point that you're a massive PlayStation fan and fanboy, and that you like PlayStation games. I mean, Christ, you gave Gran Turismo 7 a high rating when nobody else did. Obviously, PlayStation is scared because it seems like they want to re-release The Last of Us Part 2. Oh boy. Oh my god, that one's not going to go down too well. Even with the fanboys, I don't think that's going to go down too well. And honestly, I don't think this game needs a remaster, remake or anything. Playing it now on a PlayStation 5, it's still a stunning game. But it doesn't change how the story plays out.
But let's face it, a lot of what makes their cash is every single game that sells on a PlayStation console. Even if Sony didn't make it, they take a delicious 30% cut, which means PlayStation, because they are the biggest console on the planet, they make a huge amount just licensing stuff. So those copies of Tony Hawk, those microtransactions in Overwatch, those people getting the season pass in Diablo, all of that combined is what's really been funding a lot of Sony's development.
And it still will fund Sony's development, because they're still going to get a piece of the pie when Call of Duty still releases on the PlayStation platform. But like I said earlier, they were stupid for not fighting for all Activision Blizzard games, because there was more pieces of that pie to be had. So if they're going in a 70-30 split just on Call of Duty alone, they're still going to be at a loss no matter what. Only because the rest of the games may possibly not come to the platform. Which I do think games like Diablo, World of Warcraft, if it comes to the console, might actually go to the PlayStation, because it's money left on the table if Xbox don't put it there.
But Sony is most afraid of losing Call of Duty, and so Microsoft offered them a contract. So we're over here on Twitter. This is Phil Spencer, the head of Xbox, and he says,
I've already read this one out. But look at what Colt Eastwood says. More players get to access better value Call of Duty. This took far too long to sign. Congratulations to everyone.
Now, this is definitely just empty PR speak. They love to keep saying this, like, hey, now you can keep playing games on the consoles you were already playing games on. Now, the replies are predominantly a lot of people saying that this is interesting, a lot of Xbox fan accounts saying this is great. But here's the big thing. Jim Ryan showed up late and begrudgingly signed after Phil bent the knee. JK, good to hear. Player Essence here does bring up the major point a lot of people are talking about, which is the fact that for a long time, everybody thought
the Red Karen. Nobody should listen to the Red Karen on Twitter. He's full of shit and he's just a PlayStation grifter. Nobody gives a fuck what that guy says.
This deal might not even happen, because the initial proposal, Phil Spencer last year offered Sony a 3-year contract. They said, hey, okay, we'll work on something. We'll keep releasing Call of Duty on PlayStation till at least 2027, and then we're going to stop, which that was basically a 3-year extension of their current contract. Instead, they now redid the contract, and it's now a 10-year offer.
Correct me if I'm wrong, but I think that 10-year offer has been in place for the last few months, because that's all we've been hearing about. Lying, crying, flying Jim Ryan. All he wanted was Call of Duty, and the 10-year deal was put in place quite a while back.
Now, we've seen this contract before. Sony has talked about this. Microsoft has talked about this. It's still crazy because specifically, Sony knew about this 10-year deal for the last couple months, and over and over and over again, publicly, via statements and in court documents, Sony said, screw the 10-year contract. They said, no way in hell are we ever going to sign that. Which is funny, because here they are, with fresh ink on the page.
Well, given their limited choices and how badly the FTC messed everything up, you may have been right, Dreamcast guy. Sony might have been forced to bend the knee. Okay, no. No, the 10-year offer was there for a long time. Sony was like, wow, we don't want it, we want it forever. But who the fuck's to say Call of Duty is actually going to be good in 10 years? It might just drop off a cliff in the next 2 years. Who the hell knows? I highly doubt it. I mean, it is one of the biggest first-person shooters out there. Phil Spencer must have sweetened the deal somehow as well, just to make Jim Ryan stop crying.
Now, it's wild to imagine that in 2033, maybe Call of Duty is going to become an exclusive, but here is why this is just such a crucial endeavor. I actually tweeted about this. Sony makes literally billions of dollars off Call of Duty. So much insane, astronomical amounts of revenue is made by Call of Duty just being the biggest on PlayStation. So if they lost access to it, it would permanently have hurt PlayStation. Sony needs that cash. Sony games sell well. Obviously, games like Spider-Man, God of War, Ragnarok, these sell tens of millions of copies. A lot of their stuff, even Last of Us remake and stuff, sells tens of millions of copies. But in a weird way, Call of Duty is funding a lot of the development, the research, the technical stuff that's done over at PlayStation. So losing that would have cost them a lot. So them signing this deal, it was not optional. If it was this or nothing, Sony definitely had to take it. I'm actually impressed because a lot of people are basically saying like, yeah, since Sony's making $3 billion a year, that's what we gotta see. I wish we could see the details of this contract, because no way would PlayStation make a regular 10-year deal only, especially without certain stipulations.
Well, and that boils down to what I just said. It can't be a regular 10-year deal, there's got to be something in place to make Jim Ryan happy. There must be something Phil Spencer put there just to sweeten the deal for Jim and to make him happy. And we all know the first party games from PlayStation don't make PlayStation near the amount of money they need to make. Because it was leaked a few months back how much it costs to make games like The Last of Us Part 2, Horizon Forbidden West. You know, these are $200 million games. Unless they see double that in revenue just in sales alone, they're not really that profitable. Maybe they break even or just over the breaking even mark, but Christ, if they don't, that is really bad. I still don't think losing Call of Duty would make or break PlayStation. They've got other titles. In the past, they could dig up their own first-person shooters, third-person shooters, that they can bring back, revive, and try and actually compete with Call of Duty. It's something we would all love to see, instead of them remastering, remaking, and doing all this bullshit nobody wants to see.
In the past, I've been called a Sony pony and an Xbox hater, and I think a lot of that misconception comes from most of the fact that I love PlayStation exclusives. I think the games that Sony is making are by far my favorite. Gran Turismo, Horizon, that's the kind of stuff that personally I am into. But I gotta say, even as a Sony pony, it is crazy to watch how badly of an L PlayStation just took. I mean, it is insane to consider the fact that they sat down and made such concerted legal efforts to deadlock this deal. They tried their absolute best to stop this at any cost, and now that they've failed, I mean, who knows how bad this deal is going to hurt them in the long run. Honestly, I think that Microsoft is going to start yanking stuff off. I think that they've signed this deal so, PlayStation is still going to have access to Call of Duty, but this is the beginning and the end of the legal obligations of Microsoft. As it stands, I personally would not be surprised if every single future Activision Blizzard game is only coming to Xbox. New Crash Bandicoot, new Tony Hawk, new Spyro the Dragon, new crazy cool stuff, I don't know, Skylanders, Toys to Life projects, weird games, indie games, big projects, tiny projects. The amount of stuff they just got straight up swept off the table for PlayStation. I'm sure they're happy they still have access to Call of Duty, but right now, if Microsoft wants to take the ball and go home, they can, which is still, I mean, people don't like when I say this, but in the long run, I think this deal is going to end up being a scary precedent that has just been set. We are now in the age of acquisitions. Sony, I'm not worried about Sony buying stuff up. I'm not worried about Nintendo buying stuff up, even though technically, I think the current market cap is, Nintendo has like $250 billion or something, so Nintendo could theoretically buy stuff up. I'm afraid of the other guys.
So he says he's not worried about Sony buying stuff up, nor Nintendo, but he doesn't mention Xbox there, which is strange.
I'm afraid of the fact that a $70 billion deal got to go through. What happens when Tencent and the power of China
It comes from China.
starts trying to buy Resident Evil and, censor the gore? What happens when Amazon decides to start buying Assassin's Creed and forcing you to watch ads in the middle of your exploration? This stuff is now on the table. Microsoft, I think Microsoft is going to be fine. I think Microsoft is not going to use these games. They're not going to abuse these games. This is fine. The Activision Blizzard deal is fine.
Also, the Activision Blizzard deal is fine. I kind of do agree with him. I don't want Tencent to buy fucking anyone, nor Embracer Group, because they're doing jack shit with the IPs they've already purchased. But I honestly don't think this opens the floodgates neither. That might be copium on my side, I'm not too sure. But yeah, I can kind of agree with him here. I wouldn't be surprised if people like Ubisoft tried to start putting adverts in their games and just destroy your exploration and shit just to get some more cash. I have no idea where the future of gaming is going at this point, but Xbox buying Activision Blizzard is better than anyone else, to be honest with you. PlayStation would be good as well, but they just couldn't simply afford it.
Sony definitely lost. They took an L that I feel like is going to hurt them for a very long time. Right now, Jim Ryan is actually trending worldwide. I mean, at this point, I think there is a good chance that Sony shareholders choking out Jim Ryan for not signing that deal. I mean, I think there is a chance that Jim Ryan actually gets fired, which is crazy to think about because I made a video like 2 months ago saying that maybe Phil Spencer is not doing his best. It's pretty weird to think about that in a matter of weeks. Now we're at a point where we're considering Jim Ryan getting the axe.
Well, I don't see Jim Ryan getting the axe anytime soon, but he does need to pull his finger out of his ass. As you can hear towards the end of the video, Dreamcast guy's starting to sound like he's going to maybe go pro Xbox. At this point, it is hard to tell. It does sound like it, but only time will tell. And I'm curious to see how many PlayStation fanboys follow suit. Let's see if Xbox actually catch a W after Starfield comes out, after the acquisition has finally gone through 100% and they actually own Activision Blizzard. Let's see people like MBG, Quattara, Dreamcast guy himself, the amazing Lucas. Let's see how many of them move over to the Xbox side. It will be fun to watch. And if it happens, I can always come back to this video and say I told you so. But I might be completely wrong on that one. I wouldn't put a definitive answer on it. Either way, it's fun to watch this all unfold. Now I'd like to hear from you guys in the comments below. Let's see what you think. Are you glad this is nearly over? What do you think what PlayStation fanboys are going to do next? Are they all going to grift towards Xbox? Or are they going to stay where they are? Now, if you like this video, hit the like button. I enjoy making these videos. in my free time. I live streamed last Saturday and I'd like to continue trying live streaming. Thank you all for your support on this channel. I'd like to try new content as well. If there's any other kind of content you guys enjoy, I'd like to see me try and make, let me know in the comment section below as well. And that's it for me for now. I'll see you all in the next one.